Hey everyone, so in a recent testimony from the Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, he has stated that the US will not be leaving Iraq, even if the Iraqis specifically request us to leave. Now, considering we've been there for 14 years, the progress we have made is absolutely pitiful. It's nothing short of embarrassing. So as to why we're still there, well, that is a mystery to me, but I'll say this. Are we not trying to be friendly with the Iraqis now? Is it not in our best interest to be on their side? Just imagine for a moment if China claimed to be our friend, yet stationed thousands of troops on American soil and refused to leave, even if we beg them to go. Even if China is doing it for some humanitarian reasons, our reaction would not be pleasant. It would simply be an occupation of our soil and nothing more, and we would rightly fight back. So the problem is this: if Tillerson and Trump are going to go down this route, they have to admit that it's an occupation, and no humanitarian spin can be put on this anymore. Not that I think anyone has been buying that line for quite some time anyway. And what happens if the Iraqi government requests that we leave and we don't, and they fight back against us? Could this not devolve into yet another armed conflict that we don't need? God only knows we're involved with enough nonsense in the world. Just take a look at Niger and how a few U.S. soldiers were killed, and there were key senators that didn't even know we were there. That is a very bad sign. When the people who are supposed to be in charge of our government and military can't even tell you where our soldiers are stationed in the world, if that doesn't make the president and Congress at least scratch their heads and think for a moment, that would only solidify the fact that our government is run by moronic sociopaths. Anyway, I'm also concerned about blowback here. As I mentioned, what if our steadfast position in Iraq leads to armed conflict? How many innocent people will become victims in that insanity? And as always, every innocent person that dies because of our foreign policy increases the likelihood that everyone who knew that person will become an enemy of the US. And that is something we certainly don't need. This is the basic problem. Any place we station our troops, if our troops are not welcomed by those who were supposedly helping, you are creating more problems than you're solving. I'll go back to my China example. If China stationed troops in the US, and while they were here, they actually solved some problems for us on their own, but at the same time, the vast majority of Americans don't want Chinese tanks going up and down their street. Now, would this be good or bad foreign policy on China's part? Well, they would be creating millions and millions of enemies, so my guess would be that it's a bad foreign policy decision on their part. Fortunately, that is a highly unlikely scenario, but unfortunately, that scenario perfectly describes our foreign policy in reference to other countries. It's unsustainable, it whips up large amounts of anti-American sentiment, and it's perpetuating a hatred of America, the responsibility of which lies at the feet of politicians like Tillerson, Trump, and the rest of Congress that goes along with our ridiculous cloak and dagger foreign policy. Thanks, and that's all.